Hi everyone, the Watches and Wonders Show Geneva 2025 has just opened its doors, and I'm delighted to be with you today on this important day to present IWC's new releases, specifically the new Ingenieur models introduced by the manufacturer. As usual, before presenting them to you, I'd like to start with a quick dive into the history of this iconic model. It was in 1955 that the first Ingenieur appeared in the IWC catalogue. At least by today's standards, it was more of a dress watch featuring a round case and a leather strap. It also housed IWC's first in-house movement, developed by Albert Pelleton. But the model is especially notable for the presence of a soft iron cage, which shields its movement from the harmful effects of magnetic fields. As a fun fact, this innovative protection for the time was developed by IWC a few years earlier to protect the movement of its Mark 11. This same system was later adopted by Rolex in its 1000 Gauss model, which the brand launched in 1956. So why this protection? Well, quite simply because the Ingenieur is intended, as its name suggests, for professionals who are exposed to magnetic fields in their daily work. I'm thinking of technicians, chemists, airplane pilots, doctors, and other engineers in general. Next milestone, it's 1972, Audemars Piguet launches the Royal Oak. It was the brilliant designer Genta that the manufacturer turned to in order to design what would become a true trend in the industry. In watchmaking, with the birth of the sporty, chic, luxury steel watch, it was the same brilliant designer that Patek Philippe called upon in 1976 to give birth to the Nautilus. And it was that same year, in 1976, that IWC unveiled the Ingenieur SL. In 1974, the brand decided to give a fresh, youthful update to its 1955 Ingenieur and turned to, because he was undoubtedly the most fashionable and talented designer of the time, the same Genta, who would redesign the 1955 Ingenieur and present us with. In 1976, even though the model was finalized in 1974, it was in 1976 that it was released, this Ingenieur SL, standing for steel line since it was made of steel, of course. And the model came in a large case for the time, measuring 40mm, which earned it the nickname Jumbo. So it's the IWC Ingenieur SL Jumbo. In 2023, IWC chose, during that same Watches and Wonders show, to relaunch this collection as a tribute to its Ingenieur SL. This resulted in 3 new 40mm model references. It marked the birth of the Ingenieur 40, which we reviewed in a video here, right here, and you can find the link in the description below. These 3 steel versions were followed a few months later by a titanium version, which is also very beautiful. For this 2025 edition, IWC has chosen, for its new references, to play with materials and complications to offer us new Ingenieur models. So there are several of them. I'll focus on 3 of them, and you can find the others in dedicated articles on the Watch Observer website. Giving credit where credit is due, I'll start with my favorite, namely the Ingenieur. Perpetual Calendar 41, which carries the reference 344903. As its name almost suggests, this IWC Perpetual Calendar has a diameter of 41.6 mm. However, contrary to what the name implies, this case, water resistant to 100 meters, is made of steel, just like the bracelet. Here we find the flawless and sumptuous craftsmanship that is a hallmark of IWC's creations, which in this case truly elevates Genta's design with, in particular, an incredible alternation of surface finishes, including circular brushing, vertical brushing, and mirror polishing. It's an absolute feast for the eyes. Which leads me to say that we are truly looking at a luxurious steel watch. As I had the opportunity to point out during the relaunch of the collection in 2023, the comfort of this Ingenieur on the wrist is absolutely impeccable. And this Perpetual Calendar version is no exception to the rule, even though it is a bit heavier than its slightly older siblings. The most remarkable feature, however, is to be found on the dial. So IWC first chose to offer it in a blue version, enhanced with the collection's signature pattern. A design element of the Ingenieur that can already be seen as early as 1976 on the SL Jumbo. But we also find those hour markers there, applied, contrasting, and luminescent, just like the hands, which are very beautiful and offer an intuitive, very pleasant reading experience. But above all, it's this Perpetual Calendar display with a tri-compact layout of great elegance that provides truly remarkable and impressively intuitive readability. Considering the amount of information delivered by a perpetual calendar, encircled in steel, the three subdials are highlighted by a dual finish. On one hand, there's a central part with a circular satin finish, and on the periphery, a circular azurage pattern. IWC has chosen baton-style hands, rhodium-plated and polished. In order to indicate the information provided by the perpetual calendar, it's truly very beautiful and very clear. At 9 o'clock, we find the day of the week, and in a small circular window, the identification of the current year, specifically whether it's a leap year or not. At 3 o'clock, you can read the date indicated by a hand, and at 6 o'clock, you'll find the current month, also shown by a hand, along with the moon phase indicator. As for the moon specifically, IWC opts for simplicity with a rhodium-plated, mirror-polished moon that moves across a circular azure blue sky, rather than the more common designs. That's the case on the coupe models, where the moon appears in a starry sky, a choice that would likely have made the design a bit heavier and clashed with the contemporary aesthetic of this Ingenieur coupe. But the appeal of this new model isn't just aesthetic, it's also mechanical. It indeed combines the superb design developed by Genta in 1974 with the movement created in 1995 by Kurt Klaus, the watchmaker at IWC, who laid the foundation for this movement, in which all functions are adjusted via the crown. As a result, operation is simplified and water resistance is optimized, thanks precisely to the absence of correctors in the case middle. Now, the movement that powers it is in this case the in-house caliber 82600, which incorporates zirconium oxide ceramic components to make them virtually wear resistant. And this high-tech material is used for the components that are subject to the greatest stress within the movement to ensure robustness and reliability. Finally, to wrap up on the movement, it's worth noting that this Ingenieur Perpetual Calendar of 2025 offers a generous power reserve of 60 hours. That's a significant autonomy when we're talking about a QP. Lastly, its price is set at €4,200. Alongside this sumptuous perpetual calendar, IWC is expanding its Ingenieur 40 lineup with a version crafted entirely in 18-karat red gold. The features of this luxurious and precious new version are identical to those of the steel and titanium versions previously offered in the brand's catalog. The model is presented as follows. As its name suggests, it features a 40mm diameter case with a slim thickness of 10.4 meters. We also find the same sumptuous finishing seen on the steel and titanium versions, further enhanced by the warm tones offered by the 18-karat red gold. IWC's very good idea here lies in the choice of a black dial which is enhanced by the indices and hands, with a gold tone structure, and also by gold markings on the dial. Finally, IWC has the good taste, or at least the good idea, to offer us a black date disc that allows the date window to blend seamlessly into the model's dial. To power this very fine piece, IWC uses its caliber 3211, which delivers an ultra-comfortable 120-hour power reserve. And it's a model that carries a certain weight, if not a definite heft. So yes, it's true, you need to be used to wearing substantial watches on the wrist. But honestly, the comfort is quite surprising. It's a real pleasure. Its price, €5,600. The last model I suggest we review. Among the new Ingenieur models unveiled by IWC, this is a 42mm Ingenieur in black ceramic. Until now, the Ingenieur was available in steel and titanium. At Watches and Wonders Geneva 2025, it is now available in red gold, but also in ceramic. The appeal of ceramic here is, of course, its enhanced resistance to scratches, but also its lighter weight compared to a steel version. Now, it's often said when talking about clothing that black is slimming. I don't know if that's the reason. That reason? But in any case, IWC has chosen for this model to go with a 42mm format. So we have a case that's larger than the other models. Steel or titanium perhaps to further emphasize the masculine side of the model, but in any case, here we are with a 42mm black ceramic case with a finish that is, once again, sublime. Moreover, the black hue further enhances the quality of execution of the bracelet and the case. And those alternating finishes I mentioned earlier. On the dial side, IWC also opts for black. We're really looking at a tone-on-tone design, but it's elevated by the indices and hands thanks to the presence of a white superluminova. Only the central seconds hand is entirely black, playing the stealth card. Nevertheless, it manages Given the structured dial of the model, it emerges depending on the angle of the watch. The interplay of light and shadow is truly beautiful. In short, the visual result, at least for fans of stealthy full black watches, is impressive, and its price is set at €21,200. So, a quick word to wrap up these new releases. I was truly delighted by this IWC 40mm Engineer unveiled in 2023. The model is exquisitely crafted, with great simplicity, both elegant and sporty, absolutely versatile, luxuriously made yet discreet on the wrist. And with a very competitive price point, considering what the competition offers in this segment. These new variations that play with materials and complications are also truly beautiful, and I encourage you strongly, go see them in stores as soon as you can. That's it. Thank you for your attention, and I'll see you very soon for more videos on Watches and Wonders Geneva. Bye.